And we'll start sitting comfortably, whatever that is for you. Bring ourselves into some seated position with our spine long, nice and tall. Good. And just letting your eyes be soft or closed. Start to elongate the breath. And breathe a little bit more deeply, a little bit more slowly. Allowing the belly to totally relax. We take the air all the way down into our pelvis. And exhale it all the way out. You might add just a little bit of a mula bandha if you'd like on the exhale, just by gently engaging the muscles around the perineum. Just a little bit to lift that air back up. Might like to add a little sound on the exhale as well. So whatever feels good to you. We go inside and start to slow everything down and come into that yin zone that we like to come into. If you want to bring your fingers up to your heart, you can gently tap around the heart as well. Oh. Noticing how our body relaxes as our breath relaxes and lengthens. Then maybe bringing our hands up to our head, giving a little massage of our scalp. Noticing the tingly. And then bringing our hands to our ears and massaging our ears. Putting our one finger in each ear, gently pull down and hold for a breath. Nice long breath. And then we'll bring our arms out from our shoulders and just let the spine move a little bit. So pulling our spine back, reaching our arms forward, and lifting the heart, reaching the arms back. You can really undulate your spine if you want. Move your arms in a way that feels good to you. Just let your upper body, your spine get a little movement. Wave motion of our spine. As we breathe. And then we'll come up and relax our arms. And we're going to start in a square pose, but basically it's not going to be anything challenging. It'll be whatever it is for you. So take your right leg, if it isn't already there, in front of your left leg. So you're sitting cross-legged, probably most of you are. And then you're just going to move your legs farther away from you. So it's taking that right leg farther out and the left leg farther out. So there's less bend in the knees. And sort of aiming to get the lower legs parallel to each other, more or less. It doesn't have to be exact. It's just basically think of it as a really loose cross-legged position. And you can also support under either knee, right? So it should be doable. And we're just going to come forward by walking our hands out in front of our legs a little bit. And again, any adjustments you need to make. Just start by tuning into the hips. Right? How do the hips feel? So all of the poses that we do, basically, or the asanas, are really meant to be tailored to the individual, to you, right? They're not meant to be something that you that we try to force our body into. So we don't want to force our body into the pose. We just want to explore the general idea or and get the target areas, right? So if you feel this in your kind of your outer hip area, lateral hips, a little bit in the sacrum, that's the main thing. Right? So we can just relax here for a little bit. Again, feel free to bolster under your knees or change it a little as we go. Another name for this pose is loose shoelace. Right? So it's kind of a shoelace undone. We've undone our shoelaces. Just noticing what's going on inside of our body. As always, we find our edge, just kind of find the place where there's a little bit of resistance, and yet we are comfortable and not straining in any way, or there's no pain, just some discomfort, enough to create that compression or tension or whatever it is we're going for in a pose. Get into those deeper layers. Fascia. You might find that your body likes some poses more than others. Feel free to make the pose your own or do something different altogether if you need to. This pose particularly might feel like you're really pulling your bones apart, right, in the hips. Feel that deeper stretch, outer hip area. Okay, so go ahead and press yourself slowly up to sitting. And we can just lift our legs up and move them around, give them a little shake. And we'll take our left leg, cross it over the right into a half shoelace. And you can also bring something between your top and bottom leg to help that top leg if you need it, right? A little support. Slip your hands underneath your bottom knee if you need support under your knee. But try to make this asana work for your body, whatever way. Yeah, and just come forward here. Feel that deep stretch through the back of our right leg and hip, particularly. And this is called half shoelace. You don't necessarily have to lean far forward in this pose either. So if it's a little too intense, just not lean all your weight into it. Make it doable, just finding our edge really and holding. Again, it's an opportunity to explore movement and poses in our body that is sort of tailored to meet our body's needs. Whatever else is going on inside. So of course, after we find our edge and we relax and give it time and are still in the pose, you might notice a bit of a letting go start to happen. Deeper into this. And another option actually for half shoelace, if this really doesn't work for you, is just to extend both legs in front and do caterpillar. It doesn't work for your knees or something. Okay, so go ahead and press yourself up to sitting and then into full shoelace. If you're able to, which I'm not going to be able to do this one sitting, but seated, but just to show you, take that right leg underneath. And if that doesn't work for you, come on to your back and do the supine version. You can just let the sits bones be. If you're doing the supine version, our legs are stacked. We're hugging our knees into our chest, pulling on the legs a little bit. Making sure the sits bones are on the ground if you're in the seated version. Right? You can just relax forward or sit up, whatever feels good to your body. If we, in shoelace, if we widen the feet apart from each other more, that increases the stretch and the tension. So if you want to explore that, either sitting or lying down, either way, feel a little bit more stretch, different experience in the hips. we're going to start to come slowly out from this pose. If you're on your back, make sure you get up slowly. If you're seated, you can lift up the torso and cross the legs and extend them out in front. Shake them, wiggle them around. Whatever feels good to your legs. And then we'll come into a cross-legged position with our left leg in front. So other leg. And then we'll move our legs farther away from us. We'll start working our way toward a square. And again, you can let your legs lined up as best as they will. And then just lean forward. Might feel a little different because our other leg is in front. Free to bolster under your knees, either knee. You need a little assistance. Also, feel free to make any adjustments to increase the intensity of the stretch if you need to, or decrease the intensity of the stretch, right? So this is our untied shoelace. Or loose shoelace, something like that. All right, so we're going to slowly come up from here using our hands to help us up. Let the legs uncross. Maybe give them a little shake. Cross the right leg, half shoelace. Again, feel free to put a bolster between your legs or something to help that leg relax. Put your hands underneath your knee to help support your knee. Be able to relax and not have pain in the knees, although you feel a deep stretch in the knee of the left leg, probably behind that knee. If it doesn't work for you to do half shoelace, you can always do caterpillar, just both legs extended in front. We'll press ourselves up from there and go ahead and cross the left leg under if that works for you for the full shoelace, or you might come onto your back for the supine version, or you can also do the swan, which is figure 4, right, as another option if it still doesn't work for your knees to do it on your back. Finding our sits bones all the way down, and then we might just relax forward or stay seated, lift it up if you want. Might bring your feet, keep your feet close or widen them out more. Just finding I can get my knees all the way on top of each other. Finding that deep hip stretch on this side, any way that feels good to you. Allow that all those hips with our little shoelace sequence that we're doing, all those hip muscles, tendons, ligaments surrounding the joints, interweaving between. the bones. Get compressed, deepening stretch. Nourish our hips. I really don't know how yin would affect somebody that's had a hip replacement. Actually, I never really explored that. So many people have hip replacements nowadays. That might be a good idea for me to look into that because I don't really know what that would be like or if it would be doable. Or if it would be recommended. Well, we're going to slowly make our way up from there. If you're on your back, come out slowly and get up slowly to come to sitting. Cross the legs. Shake or movement. Now that we've stretched the outer hips and really close the hips up, we're going to open them. So find a straddle. And if you want to have a bolster in front of you or your arms, Dragonfly. Find the straddle that feels right for now, and you can always change it. Always let it widen or close in a little bit. Just come forward and relax here. Open the hips, a little counter pose for the last. So go ahead and start to slowly come up from walking up to sitting. And lean back, bring the legs together, bend the knees, and windshield wiper if you want, or kind of move the hips a little bit. Bring the hands behind us, and we'll just lift and lower the hips a few times. Blood circulating. Everything back into balance. And we'll come around to our belly or Sphinx, but let's start in infant pose so we can get our back muscles engaged. So bringing our arms alongside our body and just lift up, reach for the feet. Feel all of our back muscles engage here. A few breaths. And then we'll bring our elbows under the shoulders, relax the pelvis, maybe rock your body if you want. That feels good to your hips. Getting into our little back bend. You can lift the head if you want to kind of get a stretch in the front of the neck and a little compression in the back of the neck, sort of a counter pose for all that forward folding. Right? Or whatever feels good to your head and neck. Also, feel free to lift your legs or even grab hold of one leg and pull it in towards you to get an extra stretch in that hip flexor and thigh. Variations. And also do half frog and Sphinx if you want to open the hip a little bit more. That feels good to you. And we'll just take a short break in half frog. If you want to slide one knee up and look toward that leg, relax the head on the hands. And we'll slide that leg back down. Come back into Sphinx or seal. Come into seal by straightening the arms and maybe widening them. Also lift the pelvis if you like, or keep the pelvis down on the ground. It's more intense stretch in the front of our hips and torso, pelvis. A little more intense compression in the low back. Feel free to go in and out of any of the variations and just explore what works for your body today. Put a pillow under the pelvis if needed. Well, if you are up in seal, you might want to start to slowly come down to Sphinx. Gradually come down, and we'll take a little break in half frog on the other side. Whichever side you didn't do, slide that knee up, relaxing your head on your hand. And slide that leg back down. We'll make our way up to our knees. And if that's not doable for you, you can find another position where you can move your spine and just curl the tailbone under, letting your back round. Press the hips back toward the heels. Lift up, come into an arch. So just moving slowly and gently between that arch and that rounding. And then we can give our hips a little circle and let your body just kind of go wherever it wants to move, however it wants to move. Ribs, hips, the head maybe. And going the other direction. Sure, we go both ways. And we'll just take a moment to sit back into child's pose. Like to have your knees apart. Stretch the arms out in front, but feel free to do any version of child's pose that feels good to you. The body wants to do today. And of course, if you can't be on your knees on the mat, you can always come into a happy baby on your back, right? So similar pose. So and then we'll come up onto our knees. We're going to be doing dragon. And just as a, if you feel like it's hard on your knees to be on your knees on the mat, if you put a bolster, a pillow, or something underneath your knee, right? Just having the knee sort of on the front edge of your pillow so the shin is lifted up, that would really give you a lot of support. But if that doesn't work, you can just do this on your back and do the supine version of the dragon. So let's go ahead and bring our right foot forward. Also, feel free to have blocks right on either side of your foot. If you prefer to have support, just so you can really let go into the stretch, and we'll take our left leg back. And you might have a pillow or bolster underneath the knee and shin. And finding our legs in line with our hips and not with each other. We'll start just looking forward and relaxing our hip flexor area, the front of our left hip. course, feel free to come in and out at any time. Move your body in and out of the pose. And then I thought it would be fun to explore a couple of variations, if you'd like, which I'll move my block so easier to see. If we take this right foot back farther so that our knee comes forward over the foot, called overstepping dragon. And it just changes the stretch so that it's more in the ankle, front and back of the ankle. Obviously more compression in that front knee. So that's one thing, option that you might like to explore. Also, you might feel an increased stretch in the front of the left hip flexors there, front of the left hip. And another option too is if we wriggle or kind of lean back and bring our right leg farther in front. So there's less bend in that knee, almost like you're going to do the splits, right? And that brings the stretch really intensely into that left leg. But if those are not comfortable, don't have to explore them. I just thought it. There's a lot of variations for dragon. Dragons is an archetypal pose, like a lot of the poses we do are. Basic yoga pose. My cat likes yoga now. Yes, and Pilates. Or you can just kind of bring your foot back to regular dragon if you want, but feel free to explore any of those variations. What do you want? Let's go ahead and take a stretch. If you're on the mat, just lean back, do a runner stretch here. If you're on your back, just straighten your leg and give it a stretch. And then we'll bring that leg under us and switch to the left foot forward. If you want to put the pillow under your knee, if you have a bolster or something, help make that easier. Blocks. And finding our legs in line with our hips. You might be up on your fingertips or all the way on the hands. You might be on blocks. My whole family's here today. Cat, dog. Lately, they've been in here. When I've been teaching, they didn't used to be. And then if you want to explore that overstepping dragon by bringing your knee over your foot, any amount that feels right to you. Or that stretch and compression in the ankle, compression in the knee. Or taking that foot farther out in front. Stretch that way. Might be more pressure on the back knee as well. feel free to do any of the variations that you want to do, as well as the other variations of dragon that we know. Obviously, it's quite an intense hip flexor groin stretch. So make sure we're listening to our body. Come out of it if needed, in and out. Okay, so we can take a little break by straightening that front leg, leaning forward over the leg. And then we'll bring ourselves onto our back. I'm going to start by hugging your knees, relaxing your body. Relax if you want. You can stir your legs and in your hip sockets. Let the legs relax. Might want to have bolsters or pillows handy for the twist. And let's go ahead and put our left foot on the ground, bolster to the left. Extend your right leg to the ceiling. Just move that foot a little bit. If you want to give it a little movement, roll the ankle around. If you want, you can extend your left leg long, or you can keep it bent. And we're going to take our right leg across the body, extending the right arm out from the shoulder. Support your leg. If you want to keep it straight for a while before you bend it and relax in the twist. Otherwise, you don't have to. You can just let your leg bend and relax. If you want to keep it straight for a bit, for that stretch through the lateral hip and IT band, left leg can be bent or straight as you want to make it. Letting that right leg be supported either with a bolster or with the hand, or so you can let it relax more. Anytime you want to let it bend and just be able to relax in the twist, go ahead and do that. Whenever we're in a twist like this, we just want to make sure that our bones are supported, right? And not having to strain our muscles to hold them up, right? So if you need bolstering, or just use your hands so that that leg can completely relax. and be able to get the right shoulder on the ground is ideal. You can bring your left foot towards your hip, bend your knee and bring that foot in towards your hip if you like, or leave it straight. Just a lot of variations on the twist. Allowing our internal organs to get that nice massage as we breathe. And we can just use our right hand to take hold of our knee and draw it up and come onto our back. Hug the knees in. If you have bolsters that you want to move over to the right side, you can switch them over. And then we'll put our right foot on the ground, extend the left leg up, and just put that our leg in the air. Just give your foot a little movement. And if you want, you can straighten your right leg or you can leave it bent. And then we'll guide that leg across the body. Again, if you want to keep it straight for a while, but you don't have to, it's optional. And we can get that deeper IT band stretch. Left arm extended out from the shoulder, relaxed on the ground, maybe a little bent. Supporting our left leg. And if you want, you can always bend that knee and just totally let go into the twist anytime. You also want to bring your right foot up towards your hip, or you can just leave it straight. Of course, if our knee is the knee that's bent in the twist is on top is higher, we'll be getting the twist more in the upper part of our spine. And if our knee is lower, twist more in the lower part of our spine. Really individual preference. Oh. I'm on the floor. My cat takes advantage of petting of my hand. My cat's Indian name is Loud Paws because when she walks across the linoleum, it's like a splat, 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 splat sound instead of a little pitter patter, like as if her paws were really huge. What is that? Maybe they are big. So I just call her Loud Paws sometimes. I guess we could invent a new kind of yoga called kitty yoga, right? Maybe it's not new, maybe it exists already. Kitty yoga. Cats are meant for yin. A lot of yin poses are derived from, well, they're derived from animal movements, a lot of them, but specifically cats. And if you want to use your left hand to slowly draw the left leg up, or you could stay in the twist longer if you like. Just move your knees into your chest. Any movement that feels good to the body. And then coming into a pose or a place so you can relax for a moment and breathe and integrate. Whether knees are bent or legs are straight, you want a bolster or a blanket over you, a bolster under you or blanket over you. Feel free to do whatever feels good and take a moment to breathe. Breathe through the body, noticing how we feel, noticing our breath. Just giving thanks to our body for being there for us. Thanks to our breath. Giving thanks to anything else that comes to mind that you're grateful for. It's a good time for gratitude. It's the season, right? The season specifically for gratitude. Feel free to continue to lay down and relax or get up slowly if you want. Any movement that feels good to you. And thank you all for coming.